Bitcoin is trading at $98,000 and it is time for another update. It's been a couple of days, so let's dive into the charts. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Dirk. Subscribe to my channel on YouTube, follow my page on Instagram for more of these updates and ongoing guidance. So, interesting last 24 hours. We hit $100,000. Actually, it went up to $105,000 per Bitcoin. And then overnight, in Asia and during the day in the US, we basically had a massive $15,000 drop. This is the flush that I've been looking for basically since $66,000. So since the beginning of November, when Bitcoin started its massive run up from $66,000 to now all the way $105,000, that was a $40,000 move to the upside without any serious corrections. And now we finally got it, a $15,000 move in a matter of just a few hours. And that is the flush that we tend to get in bull markets. Now, the higher the price of Bitcoin goes and the higher the price of altcoins go, this is what happens because everyone keeps piling on with leverage and leverage and leverage and leverage and leverage. Everyone FOMOs in on the top, and then at some point we get that flush. It liquidates all the leverage. Everyone who was long with even a 10x, right? Because a 10x leverage long means your liquidation lies at a 10% move to the downside. So if we go from 100,000 to 90,000, that's a 10% move. And anyone who is long with 10x leverage got liquidated. So you might think even a 10x leverage is safe. No, it is not. Even 5x leverage, even a 2x leverage still has liquidation risk, especially on altcoins. We can see a 50% drop, which is a 2x leverage liquidation at any point. So you have to be very, very careful with leverage. It is a different way of trading. If you're trading with leverage, your risk should always be managed that you are losing 1 or 2% when you are wrong or when you get liquidated, not going all in with your account on whatever 50x leverage like most people tend to do. Trading with leverage, it's a completely different strategy versus trading with spot. You know, if you're working with your spot account, you can't get liquidated. So even if the price draws down 30 or 40 or 50%, that's temporary. And yes, you have unrealized losses or drawdown, but you still have your coins. So if you have Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin drops by 15%, your Bitcoins are worth 15% less temporarily, but you still own all your Bitcoin. Whereas if you take a 10x leverage long on Bitcoin and it drops 15%, you lose all your money, you have no Bitcoins left, and that is how most people get wrecked. So if you are trading with leverage, at least make sure that you understand how to trade, how to manage your risk, that you have a separate trading account and a spot account. It should never be the same thing. And that when you are trading with leverage, that you are prepared for these kind of flushes to the downside. We will see more of them, especially also in altcoins. As we start to go more parabolic in those, we will also see 30, 40, 50% drops in altcoins in a matter of hours at some point throughout the bull market. So please be aware of that and please manage your risk and be careful with trading. All right, so you can see here we have the Bitcoin 4-hourly chart, and what we can still clearly see is that Bitcoin is still making higher lows. So you can see higher low, higher low, higher low. Even this flush is technically still a higher low, which means that the bullish trend is still in play for now. I would say that if we get below this previous low at about 90,500, that is when things start to become more questionable for the bullish trend, at least in the short term anyways. So as long as we stay above this, you can see that wick was fine. It took out a lot of leverage longs, but technically all it did is it swept basically the previous lows, and the people who were longing the 100K breakout on leverage and didn't take profits, they all got wrecked. We've got that nice little wick here below these, but this low over here is still protected and unswept. So as long as that remains the case, I think we probably just chop around here a little bit, whatever the case is. And then I think we still get an attempt at higher because the higher time frame, the weekly and the monthly charts, are still bullish. A lot of the on-chain models are still hinting towards anywhere between $110,000 and $160,000 for Bitcoin as kind of a level where things become extreme, cycle top extreme type of levels. We are still in December, which historically is a bullish month. We are still in the seasonal historic pattern where December of an election year is green, where December following a green September is green most of the time. So all of that still favors more upside. I do still think we see higher highs in Bitcoin. Hopefully this month still $110,000 to $120,000, and then hopefully that is all going to spill over into the altcoins, which actually held up very, very well during this big flush, this $15,000 flush. Altcoins actually didn't have that same 15 or 20 or 30% sell-off that we normally associate with Bitcoin sell-offs. Normally, when Bitcoin goes down, altcoins go down even more. But this time, altcoins basically remained flat while Bitcoin had that flush, which basically means that it is very likely that this flush was indeed that, just a flush to liquidate those leverage longs, right back up, continue higher, and then altcoins can hopefully finally start to move higher. Now, if we look at, for example, Ethereum, which is trading at almost $3,900, it also had a bit of a wick, not as bad as Bitcoin did, but you can see here a very clear structure where the price is continuously making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. And this is technical definition of a bullish trend. It makes higher lows and higher highs, and that means the trend is bullish, the trend is higher, and as long as that trend is in play, as long as it doesn't get invalidated by a lower low, we are targeting higher. And the most obvious targets here, as you can see with the blue lines, are just ahead of us. So let me change this to daily, then we can get it all on the chart. So number one, the targets that are very, very close and probably get hit, in my opinion, over the next couple of days, probably this week, even over the weekend, is this high from May of 2024, which it almost hit but didn't quite hit, and then the high from March 2024 at just over 4,000. I think those probably get taken and maybe even as soon as this weekend. And then, of course, the main big boss target for Ethereum is, of course, the previous all-time high, which is now getting closer and closer and is starting to get well within reach. That is at, let's call it $4,900. So I think it's possible, actually, we might even see that in December. We might see Ethereum at this point. It's a $1,000 move. It's a 25% move. We have seen that. It already happened in November, basically, the same length of move. If we get one more monthly candle like we had in November, now in December for Ethereum, we're at new all-time highs for Ethereum. And I would be very surprised if Ethereum does not hit new all-time highs before this cycle is over, and very potentially here before the end of the year. And then, of course, we have Dogecoin, which always needs to be covered because it is just one of the leaders of the altcoins. And you can see we have a nice consolidation here. What is happening with Dogecoin? Triangles. Now, anyone who knows about trading typically doesn't tend to follow this type of technical analysis with diagonal lines and triangles. But the thing is with crypto, in bull markets, they work incredibly well, and it's just a very basic pattern. The price runs up, as we can see. So we had a big run up, then we get a consolidation where the price kind of gets used to the level, and then in a triangle pattern like this, usually the result is a breakout to the upside and a continuation. So I would be looking for Dogecoin to hit all-time highs, potentially even this month, but maybe only in January. We'll have to wait and see. But I think once we get the breakout here, we see a strong move to the upside. You can see how quickly this happened, by the way. It went from 14 cents to 44 cents, basically in a period of just about a week. So once it breaks out, 1 to 2 weeks, we can be at new all-time highs for Dogecoin. And of course, that is also a warning. The higher Dogecoin gets, the more likely it is that we are getting closer and closer to the top of the cycle. So I still think there's probably a very reasonable chance that Dogecoin gets pushed to $1 before this cycle is over. Maybe a bunch higher, but $1 is the meme. It's the magical target. Same with Bitcoin that hit $100,000. Ethereum, I think the target is $5,000. And Dogecoin, we're looking at that round number of $1. And I think those all get hit before this bull cycle is over, and maybe even as soon as this month, because we are just in very, very bullish conditions, and we have a bit of a consolidation here, but this is good. As soon as this is done, I think we see that breakout and we see a move much higher. And I'm not going to cover all the individual coins in this specific video because it's all going to pretty much be in the same direction. Bitcoin had 100,000. Maybe it's going to chop around here in range. Maybe it takes an attempt at 110 or 120,000, like I said. Ethereum, we're looking for $5,000 plus. And a Dogecoin, we are looking for that breakout to $1 or higher. And if that happens, then I'm looking for the majority of other altcoins also to start pumping and for us to really continue our altcoin season. Just a reminder to be careful with this. Do not increase your risk as prices go higher. The trick is buy low, sell high. That means as prices go higher, you want to be looking to remove initial capital, to take profits on the way up, and not be like most people who only get interested when things pump like crazy and then start asking if it's still good to buy this coin after it's up like 10x. No, it is not still good. The higher it goes, the higher the risk becomes, the less the upside becomes, and the higher the downside risk becomes. So remember that, keep it in mind. I think there's still time and opportunity now the next several weeks where we can see crazy pumps in altcoins, but as always, this will not continue forever. So manage your risk. The higher it goes, the higher the risk becomes. Look to take profits out of the markets. That's the only way you actually make profits in crypto, and that is the way you really make it. Smash the like button, share this with your friends, and I will see you in the next video.